Hello there. Welcome to Harley on the Headlines. I want to thank you for joining in for a quick look at some interesting, sometimes important bits from the news pages. As we start, do us, if you would, and those who haven't yet found the show a favor and jab the like, follow, subscribe buttons. I appreciate you for it. I do. Thank you. Hurricane Melissa will be remembered in Jamaica with some long faces. The destruction there is incredible. The huge hurricane is blasting over Cuba today, down to Category 3. The Bahamas are after that, and then it'll go churning up through the Atlantic Ocean. There are a couple of other storms on the weather train tracks that start off the coast of Africa. These lack organization, which means they're not spinning like a giant killer wheel yet, but there is a lot of energy from heat near the surface of the ocean. And heat is what builds thunderstorms because warm air carries the moisture up where it's cooler and where the moisture can condense into clouds. The ocean can do a bang-up job of that because it is big and flat. Lots of warm weather, lots of rising moisture-rich air, and the earth turns. So weather systems turn. And those that go counterclockwise in the northern half of the planet are the bad weather systems, low pressure systems. Low pressure is like a hot air balloon. It is rising air. It's the air that, as I just described, brings the moisture up where it can become rain. And if the system is warm enough, big enough, and holds together as it spins, it becomes very, very strong. And since the hurricanes that affect the American East come from Africa, they start out highly heated. And since they come across the tropics, we call them tropical storms. And with enough muscle, we call them hurricanes. And we give them names so we can remember them. Melissa is a whole lot easier to remember than big, ugly, nasty storm that hit the islands in late 2025, A new AP poll on political violence and threats to free speech. It is a poll that is steeped in selfish points of view. Young people, not so much worried about the threats against free speech, probably because they have always had it and are not sufficiently aware of what it is like in places where speech is not free. They are young, still dumb. I guess it's okay. Both Democrats and Republicans say they are concerned about attacks on free speech and about violence, but both say they're concerned about their own free speech, not so much about the speech of the other side. If it's free, it's for me, and better me than thee, right? We ought to be ashamed of ourselves, but indications are from that poll, even though we know better, we're not. I remember back when Bill Clinton was president, his administration sold some of America's highest technology to China, which they used to learn how to aim their missiles precisely, and even to go to space. I remember a lot of people being upset about that, and it appears that's where it ended, with a bit of upset. People learned about it, got upset about it, and then nothing happened. It went on and on and on. In fact, an Associated Press investigation has found that every administration since has sold technology to Chinese police, government agencies, and surveillance companies. What's happened? Well, today in China and some other countries, virtually every person is monitored, tracked, and statistically tabulated all the time, 365 days a week. President Trump ordered a stop to exports to China of American chips that are critical for artificial intelligence. The AP says China has found a way around that. They rent those high technologies by using U.S. cloud-based services. Multiple political administrations have been complicit, and Congress has turned a blind eye. China bought nearly $21 billion worth of chip-making equipment from U.S. companies in just the last year of the Biden presidency. They were not supposed to be able to do that. And here's some real chutzpah. China is now accusing NVIDIA of violating laws against monopolies, as though China is supposed to be able to buy America's best AI chips. The Chinese government has made it clear they're not our friend. They are more than just a competitor. China has built a navy that's larger than America's. Not as good, but it's a lot bigger. They have an army that is tough, disciplined, and twice as big as ours. Their Air Force continues to get better and better. They're trying to build military strength in space, and they can do it because American administrations, plural, gave them our highest and most critical chip technologies. And that is just part of the backdrop for President Trump's trade deal talks with Xi Jinping tomorrow. National Geographic has some great things on television and online. Cannot wait for this one. No schedule yet, but keep your eyes and ears out for whatever special comes up about a mountaineer and extreme skier named Jim Morrison. I don't even know if he can sing, but he sure can ski. And there's a documentary coming. He climbed up Mount Everest's north face, which is the most treacherous section of the world's tallest mountain. It is covered with snow, mostly covered. There are large expanses of rock that stick up out of the snow, and it is steep. No one ever decided it was a good idea to strap on some skis and ski down that. You'd have to be nuts or extremely skilled and just as brave. You'd also have to do a little planning before digging your poles into that snow. Well, he did it. He skied down Mount Everest. It was about 9,000 feet of skiable snow, all of it deep in the danger zone. He spent several years planning it. Morrison had 10 other mountaineers with him, and documentarian Jimmy Chin. You remember him. He filmed Alex Honnold, who climbed El Capitan without any ropes, free climbed it. He's co-directing the Morrison documentary. It is such a treacherous run, as Chin explained. If your edge blows out or you slip anywhere, you're gone. You fall 9,000 feet. Only 5 people have ever climbed the north face of Everest because it's straight up or straight down. It took 4 days to climb up the mountain, making notes. There were snowfields, rocks, patches of ice. They had to chop ridges into the ice and snow so they could tuck themselves into it and sleep at night. There were howling winds, blowing snow. The conditions for skiing were described as really, really bad. At the top of the mountain, Jim Morrison spread Hillary Nelson's ashes. She had been his life partner and had wanted to ski down that mountain with him, but she died not that long ago in a skiing accident. There were a few places where he had to use some ropes coming down because there was no snow, just craggy, deadly rock, but mostly it was skiing, the most treacherous imaginable. And he said he screamed and cried with relief and excitement once he got low enough to know that he would make it. Like I said, cannot wait to see that documentary. And that'll do it for today's Harley on the Headlines. Want to thank you for being there, and if you would, please help others to find their way here. Like, subscribe, and follow. You who watch and listen, you're my partners in this, you know. Cannot do it without you, and I do appreciate you. I'm Harley Carnes. I'll see you soon.